Hello everyone and welcome to another one of my mini set reviews where I'll be sharing my top picks for the new upcoming set, Phyrexia All Will Be One. The cards that I'll be taking a look at are the blue colored cards this time. This is the 5th video of my top picks video. I've already covered all the other colors in the previous videos, and the only thing left are the multicolored cards and the colorless, which will be featured in another video. The criteria for what makes it into my top picks are 1. Individually strong card, or 2. It has synergy. The card may be weak, but considering the other cards, it could be good in the format. And 3. A card that is unique and has interesting build around with potential. So with that in mind, let's talk about the first card from my list, coming at number 5. Number 5, we have Bring the Ending. Bring the Ending is a 2-mana instant speed spell. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2, and Corrupted counter that spell instead if its controller has 3 or more poison counters. I think amongst all the Corrupted cards, this really stands out from the rest of them, and I say this because this looks awful lot like the normal 2-mana counter spells that tax your opponent with an extra upside such as Make Disappear. In early game, you can easily counter spell with this card, and once you get enough toxic counters on your opponent, in the mid game, the card just straight up turns into a counter spell. Interesting thing is this is a 2-mana instant speed spell, and there are few other cards out there in this set that either proliferates or puts a toxic counter at 2 mana, such as Prologue to Phyrexia. For a 2-mana card, the Prologue is an unplayable card, but perhaps with another card coming at number 4, Spell Heavy Poison, that could be possible. Coming at number 4, we have Mindsplice Apparatus. This is a 4-mana artifact card with flash. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on Mindsplice Apparatus. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each oil counter on itself. One card that this reminds me of is a card named Wilderness Reclamation. It comes at the same cost and has potential of spiraling out of control if left unchecked. Although Wilderness Reclamation is the better card, if you're looking to cheat mana fast, letting you cast expensive spells such as any X cost instant speed spells. But one thing Mindsplice has going for is letting you cast multiple spells at a cheaper cost. But of course, Wilderness Reclamation is a banned card, so you don't really have to worry about that. This is going to be your only option if you're trying to do something similar. And going back to the 2 cards that I mentioned at number 5, these 2 cards happen to only cost 1 blue source and a colorless mana, letting you cast these 2 cards for only just 1 mana going forward. So in a spell-heavy toxic deck, cards such as Distorted Curiosity, which costs 3 mana, become suddenly better if you couldn't build up enough poison counters for this card to be discounted. And next up, coming at number 3, we have a card called the Blade of Shared Souls. Blade of Shared Soul is a 3-mana artifact equipment card with a new mechanic for Mirrodin. When this equipment enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 red rebel creature token, then attach this to it. When this becomes attached to a creature, for as long as this card remains attached to it, you may have that creature become a copy of another target creature you control. And it also has Equip 2. This is a card that could have been higher up on the list. The reason why it isn't is because I don't really know what I would do with this card. As just an individual card, I think this card is pretty strong. Normally, you pay 3 mana to copy a card, but this is coming as an equipment that you can keep paying only just 2 mana to copy another card. And as for an equipment, it does come with a free 2/2 token. This is a card with many upsides with high combo potential. I just don't know what that is as a moment. The best I can think of is when Kiki-Jiki is on the board. You can create an army of Kiki-Jikis, but that does require a lot of mana. And coming at number 2, we have a card called Jace, the Perfected Mind. This is a 4-mana planeswalker with a Phyrexian cost, meaning that they are completed and the Phyrexian cost can be paid with either blue or 2 life. If the life was paid, this planeswalker enters with 2 fewer loyalty. For the +1 loyalty until your next turn, up to one target creature gets -3, -0. And for -2, the target player mills 3 cards, then if a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, you draw 3 cards. Otherwise, you draw a card. And for his ultimate -X, target player mills 3 times X cards. The Mirror Mill is actually a deck I've tried to make it work in Historic in the previous set, and surprisingly, if you take the control route and less dedicated mill cards, the deck can actually have a decent success in Historic. Jace is a card that can come down in the early turns, neutering creatures, and the following turn, you can wipe out the board clean with a board wipe, with Jace on the board milling your opponent. What I like about this card is that it is pretty flexible in its cost, letting you cast with 4 mana, getting that extra loyalty counter in milling 15 cards on the turn it comes down. I am definitely excited to try this card out in Historic. I do believe the Mirror Mill is almost just there, very similar to the modern mill deck, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to have a place in Explorer, as it lacks strong mill cards such as the Mesmeric Orb or Glimpse the Unthinkable. And finally, coming up at number 1, we have a card called Mercurial Spelldancer. This is a 2-mana creature with the relevant typing Phyrexia and Rogue with the stat 2/1. This card can't be blocked, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on itself. Whenever this card deals combat damage to a player, you may remove the 2 oil counters from it. If you do, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose a new targets for the copy. Again, this is a card with relevant creature typing Rogue, and even if you don't play it in a Rogue deck, there could be many different things you could do with this card. At just 2 mana, this is a card that is very similar to a card called Snapcaster Mage. Although it does not have flash and it doesn't flash back another card from the graveyard, the fact that it lets you copy spells, this is a card that is an engine itself, and also a card that has a very high ceiling in terms of what you can do with it. There's honestly not much to be said any more than that. It is just a really strong card and it must be removed, or you will probably lose the game through getting outvalued, or you could even lose the game through getting comboed to death. Special mention to Ichor Moon Gauntlet. This is a very interesting card that lets you take extra turns. It is also an artifact, meaning that you could play this in a deck such as Mono Green Devotion with the card. However, I couldn't find a loop to combo with this in Historic or Explorer, and the fact that if there was a combo, you do have to jump through hoops to cast a blue mana card in a single combo. I don't really see a way to combo this card. The only reason I considered another way of comboing in Mono Green Devotion at the moment is because the combo at the moment takes way too long for the arena client to handle. And that is going to be my top 5 blue cards of the set. I think there were some pretty good blue cards in the set and a very interesting ones as well. I would love to know what your thoughts are, if you think another card should be on the list. And as always, if you found this helpful or enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment below, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later.